All right, let's go on a little journey. It's an adventure, really, that starts with just simple raw numbers and ends with decisions that can completely change a business. Today, we're going to trace that whole process from start to finish and turn something that seems super complex into something really clear and powerful. So, have you ever wondered about this? How does one single number on a sales report turn into a huge, game-changing strategy? That transformation, that's exactly what we're going to unpack today. We're talking about the clear, deliberate path from raw data to real-world impact. So here's our roadmap. We'll kick things off with the quest for answers, then move on to forging raw data. After that, we'll get to the good stuff, uncovering the insights. Then we'll talk about telling the data story. And finally, we'll wrap up with the analyst's compass and pitfalls. Okay, so first things first, the quest for answers. And this is maybe the most important thing you'll hear today. Every great data analysis starts not with a mountain of data, but with a single crystal clear question. In the data world, they call this a problem statement. It's all about taking a kind of fuzzy problem, like why are we losing customers, and shortening it into something you can actually test. Something like which specific factors are making our customer experience worse. That simple shift, it focuses the entire investigation. And this isn't just theory. When a bunch of data pros on Reddit were asked about the single biggest mistake people make in analysis, this was a top answer. Getting the question wrong, or worse, not even having one, is the fastest way to fail before you even begin. All right, so we've got our question. Now what? Well, now we need the raw material, data. But you can't just dive in. First, you have to forge that raw data into something you can actually use. And that, my friends, is the art of data cleaning. Now, I gotta be honest, this next part, it's not exactly glamorous. There's no big aha moment here, but it is so, so important. You've heard the saying, garbage in, garbage out, right? Well, it's a cliche for a reason. The quality of your final insights depends entirely on the quality of the data you start with. And you might be wondering, okay, how important is it really? We'll get this. According to Career Foundry, a good data analyst spends a jaw-dropping 70 to 90% of their time just cleaning and preparing data. Think about that. The vast majority of the work is done before the real analysis even starts. So what does cleaning even mean? Well, it's all about removing errors, getting rid of duplicates, and filtering out the noise. It's also fixing all those little things that can have huge consequences, like typos. Imagine your data has New York spelled 3 different ways. Your analysis would tell you that one of your biggest markets is underperforming, all because of a simple typo. This is the painstaking work that makes everything else possible. Okay, and now we get to the good part. This is kind of the climax of our whole journey. We have a clear question, we have squeaky clean data, and now it's time to actually analyze it and turn those boring numbers into a powerful story. So pretty much all data analysis falls into one of these 4 buckets, and each one kind of builds on the one before it. Think of it like climbing a mountain of insight. You start at the bottom by figuring out what happened. Then you climb higher to figure out why. Then you look out and predict what will happen. And at the very top, you can say, here's what we should do. At the base of the mountain, we have descriptive analysis. This just answers the basic question, what happened? A retailer looks at past sales and sees that, hey, winter coats sold really well in November. It's the foundational map of your landscape. It doesn't explain why the mountains are there, but it shows you exactly where you're standing. Okay, moving up a bit, we get to diagnostic analysis. This is where we ask, why did it happen? This is where you start to get those aha moments. Why did coats sell so well in November? Maybe it was a new marketing campaign, or maybe a big competitor ran out of stock. A hospital might use this to figure out why one treatment works better for patients than another. It's like a doctor who doesn't just look at a cough, but runs tests to find the root cause. All right, now we're really starting to get powerful. We're looking into the future with predictive analysis. This is where we ask, what is likely to happen next? By understanding the past, we can start to see the future. A factory, for example, might analyze data from its machines to predict when a part is about to fail. This lets them fix it before it breaks, which can save a ton of time and money. And finally, we're at the very top, the summit, prescriptive analysis. This is the coolest part. It doesn't just predict what's going to happen, it actually recommends what to do about it. A bank's computer system might not only flag a transaction as possible fraud, but also recommend the exact action to take, like blocking the card and sending a text to the customer. This is where data isn't just telling you something, it's telling you exactly what to do. So, you did it. You climbed the mountain, you found this amazing, incredible insight. But you're not done yet. An insight is totally useless if it just stays locked away in a spreadsheet. The next part of the journey is all about sharing your discovery with the world. And this is how it's done. Dashboards, reports, cool visuals. Analysts use these tools to take all that complicated data and transform it into something that's clear, simple, and easy to understand for the people who actually need to make the decisions. But listen, it's not just about making pretty charts, right? Visualization is great, but communication is key. The real skill is building a story around the data. You have to clearly present the evidence and persuade people that your conclusions are solid and backed up by facts. Okay, let's get to our final act. Every great journey teaches you something, right? And for a data analyst, that wisdom is all about understanding your responsibilities and knowing the common mistakes you need to avoid. And we're going to look at this in two ways. First, the analyst's compass. These are the ethical rules that should always guide their work. And second, the pitfalls, the common traps that can trip up even the most experienced analysts. Think of the analyst's compass as the ethical rules of the road. It means constantly asking yourself questions like, are we protecting people's privacy? Are we being fair and unbiased in how we look at this data? Are we being transparent enough that someone else could check our work? And maybe most importantly, are we presenting our findings honestly without exaggerating them? And then you've got the pitfalls. These are the classic mistakes that can totally wreck an analysis. Pros warn against things like bending your analysis to fit a conclusion you already believe, or not really understanding what the numbers mean in the real world, or just ignoring messy data. And a huge one, failing to get a second pair of eyes on your work, just to do a quick sanity check. And that really brings our journey full circle. We've seen how data analysis is a whole process, right? It's about asking the right questions, being super careful in your prep work, analyzing with a clear purpose, and communicating with clarity. You see, data can tell an endless number of stories. It has the power to shape our world. The real responsibility, then, is on the storyteller, the analyst, to make sure the story they tell is true, fair, and well responsible.